Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everybody. She is a wealth of organizational information, helping us get our lives organized. She's a professional organizer. She can do this virtually, in person. She's in the Huntsville, Alabama area, but that can be done anywhere. If you're disorganized, you need some help, we're going to help you out with that. We've been going room by room. She has a process as well, which is very unique. And I do believe we're in the kitchen today with Richele Caragianis. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
My kitchen is a mess. My pantry is a mess. I try to messier. So we're in the kitchen. Where do you want to begin? Are we talking about the cabinets? Are we talking about the pantry to start? What should we do?
It's going to focus on the pantry, or at least start with the pantry. If you're lucky enough to have a spacious pantry, then God love you. I want to be you too.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, when you have that extra space in the pantry, though, it can lead to it being your overflow space. And I want to remind everybody that we did speak briefly about the garage being a great place for your overflow, for your extra paper towels, your extra toilet paper, extra canned goods, anything that can handle that garage environment. That's the space for your overflow, not your pantry. Your pantry should be what you need in the immediate day or week that your children need to be able to see, you need to be able to see, because really the pantry is a place where we start to talk about money. Food is expensive. And when your pantry is way too jam-packed, you can't see what you have. So one of two things happens. Things expire, so they're never consumed, or you buy more because you can't remember if you have what you need. And so the pantry is a place where money can be seriously lost. It can be a black hole.
That is, and the refrigerator. I can't tell you how much food, and it's not like there's a lot of people in my place where I'm just like throwing stuff out. It's just, oh, I forgot I had that. It's underneath the shelf. Oh, that's expired. Oh, there's mold on those strawberries. What? And the same thing with the pantry.
And don't get me wrong, like this can lead into a conversation about bulk shopping, bulk buying. And certainly if bulk shopping serves you, if it saves you time and it truly saves you money, then really, again, I divert back to the garage. Go ahead and install the shelving and the containers, maybe even a small refrigerator freezer, so that all of that overflow that you're buying, bulk shopping, doesn't go bad, and you still know where it is, and it's still accessible. But the pantry should be, like I said, what you're eating for the week, what you have over the weekend. If you're having any kind of special event in your home, then maybe it's a temporary storage, but that's your pantry. And also some similar rules apply to the pantry that apply to the garage or the attic. Put your heaviest stuff on the floor. That's what needs to go underneath your shelving. This can be appliances that you don't want to keep out on the counter on a daily basis. They're heavy. If they were to fall down from a shelf, that could be dangerous. You don't want that.
Wow.
Boxes that are filled with bulk buying, put those on the floor. Up high, the very top shelf of your pantry should be the things that you want access to, but that you don't touch every day. My favorite example is the popcorn popper. You don't want that on your cabinets, on your countertops every day, but maybe movie nights every Friday night. It's an appliance. You want it in a safe spot and you want it accessible.
Yeah, I have to tell you, because I was talking to somebody yesterday, and actually I was with them when I bought this, and they said, have you used your air fryer yet? It's been on my counter 8 months. I don't even know how to turn it on. It's just sitting there. So to your point.
But I have to confess that I have, and what else are they called besides air fryers? Like I have an Instapot, right? And so things that would normally take all day to cook only take 20 minutes or 30 minutes to cook. And it's great, but it takes up so much space on my counter, but I don't use it every week. But I don't want to take up pantry space with it either. So it sits there and it kind of plagues me. It haunts me. I'm like, what am I going to do with this piece of appliance? But I love it when I use it. It's a conundrum.
Yeah, I guess it's, you got to look at the priority. What's more important?
Right. And it's, it was supposed to take the place of the crock pot to finish that. And I was so happy to put my crock pot away. But it's still, I still struggle with this one very specific appliance because you brought it up. I'm admitting that I have a similar conflict with it.
Yeah. And I'm sure that until somebody brings it to your attention, you don't even know it's there.
Mm-hmm. And then where does it go? Is it something that goes in the garage on some of that special shelving, or is it something that goes in the pantry? And that again just goes back to your personality, your usage. What else needs to go on your countertops? Like, I need my toaster out every day. I need my soda stream out every day. These are things that I need to prioritize counter space too. I also like decorative things in my kitchen. So I purposefully, knowing that I'm doing it, take up counter space with picture frames and decorative items. Some people want nothing on their countertops. And then we have to go back to, okay, where is it going to live then? Is it going to live underneath in your bottom cabinetry? Is it going to go back to that pantry? Is it going to go out into the garage? And then it just starts, there's some trial and error, I would say. Just experiment.
So we're in the pantry right now, multiple shelves there.
Mm-hmm.
How do you decide what goes on which shelf?
Well, some of that has to do with the other people who inhabit your home. So if you have elementary age school kids, they're old enough to be responsible for their own snacking, but you obviously need to make sure that they can reach the snacks. At the same time, snacks are something that can go stale, that can go bad. Don't cram too much in there. No one's going to get through it before it potentially goes bad. You open up that bag of chips. You open up that box of cereal stales, and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Now, canned goods that require a can opener and that you're only using them when you're making special dishes, the kids don't need to be able to reach that. That can go on higher ground, is what I have to say about that. Pasta will go bad. Make sure you have the containers. And I wanted to make mention of that, the pantry and its relationship to labeled containers. I would say, in addition to the refrigerator and the freezer, this is where having specified containers for specified possessions that are labeled properly is really at its most important to save money, or at least not to overspend.
Is there a better place for those pastas, those kind of higher shelf, lower shelf? Doesn't make a difference.
Well, it has to be cooked. So if you're the person in the house that's doing the cooking and you can reach a higher shelf, then that's, the logical place for it to go. I think pasta can be very decorative if you go out and put some time and energy in the containers you're going to put them in. I grew up with grandmothers who had all the pasta out on the countertops all the time. And I just thought it was the prettiest, coolest thing in the world.
So what about, I have to ask this because this one's big, and it's not just me. The Tupperware type items, the storage containers. Where are we putting those?
Well, again, we're talking about decorative versus utility, right? Does it need to be cooked? Who does the cooking in the house? If depending on the traditional roles in the house and who does cooking and who does cleaning and who puts things away and who needs to find things, this might be a collaborative effort. The pantry is something that multiple people are need access to. So, your partner, your children, your adult children, the nanny, whoever is coming in and out of that space, and it can be a lot of people, that's you need to be catering to.
Do you get frustrated when somebody comes into your kitchen like over the holidays and they're, let me help you, I'm going to help you, and everything's in a different spot?
It's really funny. I have relatives that I spend Thanksgiving with every year, and I do a lot of the cooking because I like to do a lot of the cooking. There's certain things that I cook. And I feel like by the end of the 3-day holiday that we spend together, I have finally learned her kitchen, only to come back exactly a year later and to be starting from scratch like I've never seen her kitchen before. And it's because there's not that day in and day out use, but also she thinks differently than I do. Her kitchen functions differently for her. She and her husband cook together, and they cook multiple days in advance. So they organize their cooking utensils and their cutlery different than I do in my home, because my system for preparing meals is just different. And all of those things are what your organizer should be asking you when they start setting up your kitchen. I do move-ins, which people have moved across the country, and now we're unpacking their boxes. I'm asking them these kinds of things. Are you right-handed? Are you left-handed? Do the kids cook? Does anybody else even come into your kitchen besides you? Like, I can go days where I'm the only person in the kitchen. So it needs to be where I want it.
Well, you said a word I think is really impactful in all of this: system. Having a system.
I like all of my cutlery and utensils. I like them by the dishwasher, because when they're clean and I'm putting them away, I want that quick access. But that makes it, the dishwasher and the cutlery and stuff is further away from my stove. But that's my choice. That's my system. So when I'm cleaning up the dirty stove and the dirty pots at the end of the night, that's when I do the traveling across the kitchen. But that's because when it's all clean, I want it all in one spot. But that's my system.
I love this. And I think having an organizer present you with different potential systems is so impactful. Like a lot of this you don't even think of, but it does make sense. Like when I'm thinking about this now, when I vacuum my floors, then I'm going to mop them. Why am I cleaning the countertops? Because I'm taking and I have like a little mopping system where it's a reservoir you fill. I think it's cedar, first grade. I'm taking that and putting that in the sink and filling it up. Well, if I already did the counters, now I'm getting, water all over the place and, spots on the countertop. But if you don't think it out, you're wasting your time cleaning the countertops in advance. It should be the last thing.
Right. Well, and I try to teach, my son's big chore in the house is the floors. It's his job to sweep, dust mop. If there needs to be Swiffer mopping done, that's all his job. And he asked me once why his job was the floor. And I said, well, because the floor is what we do last. So mom cleans from the top down. I dust the ceiling, lights, the chandelier, the whatever's up high, I do that first. Then I come down to the counters and the furniture and I dust. And then, son, you get to swoop in and do the very last thing, which is the floors. But, speaking about cleaning products, that goes back to what your preference is. Do you keep those in your pantry? Do you keep those in your kitchen? Maybe you have a special cabinet built into your kitchen somewhere. Or do cleaning supplies go in some place like the garage or a back storage space?
It's so true, the system. Like as soon as you're saying that, fabuloso.
It's a great word, and it applies to so many helpful, important things. We need systems, and it doesn't mean we need to be rigid. It doesn't mean that things can't move around, because they can and they should as your needs change. But having a system is going to keep you sane.
It's a starting point also, instead of a free-for-all, you've planned it out. But I believe many of us we're not wired for systems. And that's where we hire somebody like you to kind of, walk that journey with us. Any other thoughts on the kitchen, the pantry?
I think it's the most used space, not necessarily for the preparation of food, but the consumption of food And I think for that reason, it has to be given special thought and a little bit more trial and error even. Like, is this working for me? Is this not? Is it working for the family? Is it not? What is keeping your time, most efficiently and effectively used so that you enjoy each other for your meals?
Sure. And instead of worrying, and then you have, people that freak out if something's not put back the right way. But if you had a system, you might not have any issues with that.
Everybody knows where it goes.
Everybody knows where it goes.
Yeah, containers and labels would be my last thing to say about pantry, kitchen, cabinetry. This is where you need to spend some money and some time.
Would you say it's important for the benefit of all, to label the shelves? Now you get those wire shelves, right? Is there a way that you can label them so it's darn obvious what's going on that shelf?
There's so many different ways to label, from going and buying a labeling machine and one that'll be really fancy and change the fonts for you, and it comes on an adhesive. A lot of container stores now are selling containers that have an actual slide-in space for a piece of paper that you've labeled, and then it can be taken out and removed, traded out for another label. You can write directly on containers. I have 10 Sharpies seated around my house because to me, it is the professional labeler, my black, thick Sharpie.
Nothing wrong with that. If you got decent handwriting, you're good.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Sharpie's my favorite. As a matter of fact, not only the traditional Sharpie, but I also buy the Sharpie roller pens.
I love it.
Just because their precision, the ink is waterproof, and it works. What are we forgetting here in the kitchen?
It's difficult to forget anything in the kitchen because when it's not working, it will become so obvious so fast that something's not working. I mean, we just spent time talking about the crock pot versus the Instapot versus the air fryer. When something needs to be addressed, because the kitchen, we're in it at least 2, if not 3, if not 5 times a day. It'll become apparent if something hasn't been addressed in a way that it serves you.
In other words, you're going to know.
You're gonna know. Yeah. And I'm kind of laughing at my little pun because I said it's not going to serve you, kind of like a restaurant kitchen serving you.
Mm-hmm.
It's not going to serve you the way you need it to so that you can enjoy your food.
That phrase, word, serve, so impactful for me. And I'm just going to share because it resonates. But a number of years ago, things in life changed. And I was talking to a friend and she said to me, yeah, those people don't serve you anymore. And I'm like, oh, that sounds horrible. They didn't fit in my life anymore, but she used that term. And then when you think of it, it doesn't work. They don't serve you anymore. Same thing we're talking about in the kitchen.
Yeah, but you knew what she meant.
I knew what she meant.
It's a loaded word, but you knew exactly what she meant when she said it. And you will know it when you're experiencing it. And that's a good wrap up segue to the master closet, the closet in the spare bedroom, how your kids' closets are functioning. They are there to serve you, not for you to serve them. You are not hired by the closet to take care of it.
Point. Well, I'd say you got to take control of it too, instead of letting these things, rooms or closets, control you. And I think sometimes we forget that.
I think it's a well-made point. I think it's a well-made point.
Tell me about the process. Somebody wants to work with you. This is resonating. They're a mess. They need organization. How does it work?
Well, I can be reached by phone at 504-432-2271. I can be emailed with Richele, Richele, at blossomwoodorganizing.com. We can set up an initial phone conversation where I get some details, and then we can decide if I'm going to be capable of coming to you or if we're, as you mentioned earlier, going to work virtually, which is also an option as well. And we move forward from that. Each person and each space is as different as the next.
What's your favorite room to work on?
The garage.
Is it really?
It really is. Maybe that's why I started with it, because I really enjoy the garage. It should be a fun space. It should be a fun job. It should be a place where you do a lot of throwing away, which when people finally commit to that throwing away process, they feel so light and so good after it. I think the decision making has a little less pressure on it, a little less stress. If you make a bad decision in the garage, no one's going to fall down and die. It's just a place to have some fun.
I see that, because it's also so versatile. There's so many things going on in the garage, from potentially cleaning products to supplies to nuts and bolts, literally screws, toys, bikes, decorations. There's so much going on, but it done right, they can all exist together, and you still have space left over to walk through the garage. Truth be told, I would have a challenge pulling my car in my garage. It's neat, but I also have the grill in there. But I will tell you, one year it was about to snow, and I was obsessed with getting my car in the garage. Inch by inch, I had like that much space on each side, but I got it in there. But I wouldn't have been able to get it in there hadn't I already had it organized and cleaned. So
yeah,
key.
That's exactly how it plays out.
So
that's exactly how it plays out.
Blossomwoodorganizing.com. That's your website?
Yes, it is.
Very cool. Richele, thanks for being here. Thanks for the insight. You make organization fun and obtainable. There's many of us just like, even if somebody's going to help me, I don't know if I'm ready for that. You make it so that we can all get it done.
Well, I appreciate that. I hope so, because I want people to feel good while they're doing it. I want people to feel good after they're doing it. I want them to feel good even when it might be the next time we need to do it again.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Talking to you, I'm looking forward to doing my pantry, cleaning some closets, and just waiting for the right time. Let's say it's not super cold here in New York, but another month or so, be right around that time where it's like, all right, you can't really do a lot. Get that done and get it done right, or hire a professional. Make it easy. Wonderful talking with you, Richele. Thanks for being here today.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Good talking to you.
You too.
All right.
We're coming right back.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.